Welcome to Global Reports once again here on Liberty Television here in our Kaduna studios. I am Arthur Brooks. Welcome to our viewers across Nigeria and across West Africa, and to our many friends worldwide streaming on the Facebook and on YouTube. As usual, we follow the trending and most popular news stories from around the world from the past week. Our guests this week is our good friend Professor Khalifa Dikwa, and also another old friend but new friend to the program, that's Malam Aminu Imam. Sorry, I stumbled there. Lots of things happened this week. It could be quite a rich program if we can get through at least a few of them. Let's say worldwide, in Paris on Monday, a cultural icon was virtually destroyed. It's the famous Notre Dame Cathedral, which has withstood time for 850 years and was virtually almost destroyed Monday night. Can we show the video from BBC?
Oh, ça tombe. Oh putain, mec, ça tombe. Oh là 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 là. Oh putain, la vache.
Mais moi aussi. En fait, j'ai pas envie de...
Le pire a été évité, même si la bataille n'est pas encore totalement gagnée. Les prochaines heures seront difficiles, mais grâce à leur courage, la façade et les deux tours principales ne se sont pas effondrées. Alors je vous le dis très solennellement ce soir, cette cathédrale, nous la rebâtirons, tous ensemble.
Yeah, this was a national icon, more than just a religious building. It was a national tourist centre, international tourist centre, one of the largest cathedrals in the world. Something like 9 million visitors come to visit it every year, but they think they can save it. But it's interesting, you know, every country has its monuments and its buildings.
Correct.
And are we in Nigeria? Do we protect our history?
I think we've been taking things for granted, you know. And there are people who are not interested in even having history. They were even fighting history to be passed on to our children. You know, Cathedral, Notre Dame. I visited it many times as a student and as a visiting professor then. Even like you earlier said in your intro, it is no longer there as a religious monument, no longer, because French have abandoned religion when they began to see that Vatican was even infiltrated by certain things that are completely unbiblical, like leadership, female leadership in the church, and then accepting openly gay pastors to be leading and so on. Then they decided to say, fine, it is about wine and whatever it is that they found things that at one time there was a writer, even a leading political, said that France may eventually adopt a Muslim president because we have abandoned the Christianity that gave rise to the completion of the religion as a universal guide for humanity. So imagine Christianity fought within. They created denominations to fight against one another. So when they succeeded in dismantling the basics, the unity of Christianity, now they moved to Islam and created similar sectarian differences that is happening and within the extreme teaching of Salafis and so on, Wahhabis from the 80s and so on. So the world, the globalists are not interested in anything religion, even though they pretend to say that they are backing Judeo-Christian values. In actual sense, they hate anything religion. They don't want it. So I was there only when we say on Fridays, you see more French people coming to pray during Friday Muslim around Notre Dame, outside and so on. So they are protecting Notre Dame, the cathedral, more than even the Catholics. So because they know now that it is just a religion, one religion with different paths to come. And so the world has now understood that there's no need.
But the sense of value they attach
to it as a symbol of unity. Over 850 years and so on. The same thing happened in Britain.
Yes, the Queen's Castle, Windsor Castle.
Exactly, these are things that unite us. And I remember in the Second Republic also, we lost a part of our you call that communication outfit.
Nitel.
Prior to Nitel. Under Dr. Mamman Tahir then. Net
Marina,
due to arsonists and so on. We lost a lot. And we gained under a president, an elected president, that's decided to even sell our theater, Igamu, in Lagos, National Theater, to Harbour. Certain things are not supposed to be sold. We have these are monuments, these are museums, these are our culture. When you go to Ogun, all these monuments in the southwest.
The ocean shrines. And
Brazilians come from all the way from Brazil, from Latin America to visit them, and then you discover that they are abandoned, they are not taken care of. So tourism ideally is supposed to bring a lot of money, but we are not serious about it.
Well, even in Kaduna.
It's unfortunate. Kaduna.
Somebody demolished our rugby club, which has been there for 60 years.
For 60 years. Demolished it and handed over the land to just
one wonders how the upcoming generation will have a sense of history when we don't attach importance.
And it doesn't matter what the history is, even if it's colonial history, it's history.
It's history.
Even where I come from in Britain, we have Romans colonized us for 700 years, but we still preserve all the Roman remains. It's because it's parts of our historical, it's parts of our culture.
And that slave trains from the southwest and so on, those places are supposed to be bringing a lot of money from outside to follow things, but we abandon them. We don't care. We're just talking about oil and so on. Ideally, we have more than this. Apart from
much more
industrializing the agricultural sector, in addition to the oil industry, we also have tourism, which just was the basic for Egypt. For instance, now Egypt is under a terrible thing after toppling an elected president. Now he's looking for a referendum to stay on board till 2030. With the powers to even appoint judges and to have control of their armies and so on.
Let's watch something. Sudan is another issue.
It's a serious one.
Serious issue. Let's just watch a very short video from Al Jazeera, I think.
Despite a military coup ousting Bashir last Thursday and his successor 24 hours later, the sit-in and protests continue.
We insist on continuing with this revolution until our demands are met. Our demands are known and clear, bringing down the regime completely.
They're angry because they feel their revolution is being stolen by the military council that overthrew Bashir. The council has appointed members from the military to run the country. It's promised an all-party inclusive government for the transitional period, but under the military's supervision. That's something those on the streets refuse to accept. Protesters have been here in front of the army headquarters in Khartoum for more than 10 days, and they say they're ready to stay for even longer if their demands are not met. They want the dismantling of the Security and Intelligence Agency, as well as accountability for the members of the former regime. But most of all, they want a civilian government in a country that has been ruled by a military leader for more than 30 years. The military council says it won't use force to disperse the protesters, something activists say they attempted to do on Monday morning. It has issued orders to reform the security agency and the judiciary and says it's arrested officials from the previous government who will be held to account. But it insists protest groups and political parties must agree on the structure of a transitional government.
We need to agree on the basis of forming the government. The ball is now in their court. There was a question on the timeline, but the ball is in the court of political forces and other bodies that I mentioned, from organizations, youth and women. If they're ready today and agree on anything, we are ready to execute.
We have met with the military council and told them that we want a transitional period of no more than 1 year.
While others want it to be as long as 4 years. Sudanese Professional Association, the group spearheading the protests, say the way to end the sit-in is clear.
We want the government to be handled to a civilian body. We want the military council to be cancelled and a new council to be formed, which is civilian, major by civilian, with some military representation on it. This is our main demand. Then we want also a transitional government with all its executive rights and to extend the transitional period to 4 years.
But as political parties and other groups negotiate the terms of a new government, Sudan continues under the rule of the military, and the sitting continues. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Khartoum.
Yeah, Sudan. The former head of state has been deposed, Bashir, and I believe he's wanted in the International Court in The Hague for war crimes against the...
Like many others, The Hague doesn't include people from Europe and America and so on from the West. So it is only for others. The thing is, like whether we like it or not, democracy was just recent in Africa. In Africa, like Sudan, like Egypt and so on. And how can you use vendetta in order to wipe out the establishment that have been within the corridors of powers for so many years? So demands in Algeria, in Sudan, and Libya perhaps, and possibly it will happen in Tunisia, is too extreme, so that I just fear for them what happened to Libya under Gaddafi. They should create a prayer where they can have consensus. This is not the kind of lesson that Nelson Mandela taught us, to forgive and to allow the large heart so as to sit down as Nigeria. And military all over Orthodox. The thing is, the military, the armed forces are the most organized and disciplined. No matter the few leadership that they can try to do the little thing, but as a body, you cannot get rid of the military entirely in just one way of doing it. So it is not possible. Allow them to just gradually do it, and so on. They can now retire and join politics. But to ask them to just remove everything is asking for too much. In Sudan,
it seems in Sudan that the military leaders are listening. It's at the moment,
and they cannot agree.
Listening to the people. No, they seem to be listening to the people.
The politicians refuse to agree to come with the agenda, even to suggest.
The military leaders are siding with the people in the streets. Their demands.
In Sudan, unlike other countries, Sudanese are more enlightened and more patriotic. No matter what. I lived there, and I know them. They are always they always have that sense of patriotism in the country. They were politically alert and enlightened. They discuss politics from childhood and so on. So they're just saying, okay, we don't want us, we resign. Imagine within 1 week, many of them are stepping down for the love of Sudan. They don't want Sudan to go back to the trenches again.
It's a good sign.
Yes.
We hope we can.
But they shouldn't be asking for too much. Let them have the large heart to now say, okay, you have your interest, the political interest. politicians who never agree. They just invited al-Bashir to take over. At that time, 1989. And today, after al-Bashir, they are saying everybody who was with al-Bashir was wrong, was part of the corruption. The same thing with Algeria happening. As we are talking today, right now, today, Tuesday, what's the 16th?
Wednesday, 16th.
Wednesday, 17th. Now, Libya, the forces of warlord Khalifa Haftar are closing on to the seat of government in Tripoli. And there's nothing the United Nations can do. And imagine again catching French nationals with diplomatic passports coming into Libya, going through Tunisia and so on, pretending to be the security of the embassies and so on. And again, the same French that we have all over. Now, with the world, my friend, the people who split into two. One, America, Saudi Arabia, Emiratis, Egypt, and the other side also a nuclear force, Iran, Russia, again Russia and the other one. So splitting the world. In Yemen, they were the same there. They are in Algeria. They are perhaps in Sudan, through Egypt and so on. The same Egypt is holding to the jugular of Palestine, not allowing them.
Now Egypt is trying, the leader, Sisi, is trying to push through new
reforms
that would
more than
ensure he would be head of state for the next 10 years.
More dangerous, more dictatorial than that of Anwar al-Sadat and Hosni Mubarak. More sweeping powers to say perhaps beyond 2030 and saying, and these are people, professionals, judges and doctors recently in Sudan today, joining the protest that they will never take part in a sham election in Algeria, in Sudan, and perhaps Libya and so on. That should worry sit-tight leaders in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa. Imagine Uganda's Museveni giving asylum, political asylum to al-Bashir.
Yes.
Who is now moved to the jail and so on. So he should be preparing for his own rather than
he's overstayed.
Yes, overstayed. People should not believe that there are no better presidents apart from them. It is wrong and it is deceitful. Once you are there for 4 years, 8 years, you should be able to quit when the ovation is loud. You should be able to mentor people who should do better than you, young, agile, digitally connected to the world. Imagine now in Nigeria after the elections, they all went there to sleep rather than to face the issue of governance. Most of them went to sleep.
Well, we hope similar, the youth is worthy of emulation what is happening in Sudan. We hope other countries in Africa emulate such.
Will emulate it. They should be very careful not to allow outsiders to infiltrate and create problems for them.
Yeah, that's the issue,
Yes, because it is a proxy war between between Iran and Saudi Arabia, between America and Russia.
Yes.
Which, eventually the grass will suffer. Rather than just
look,
sit
even
down.
in the States this week, some of the politicians were arguing with Trump that we should bring back the troops from Yemen. And he said, no, it's not an important issue. They'll stay there.
It is about money.
It's about
money. And war is a business. It is about money. As long as people do not understand that the country belongs to all of them and others, outsiders, the associations like NRA, National Rifle Association and so on, will continue to fight despite the tough gun laws by Australia and New Zealand. Others are afraid to join because of the lobby power of the NRA.
Yeah, and the amount of money
America is a victim.
Get paid.
Yes,
American politicians
are victims of gun attacks.
Get paid millions,
multi-millions and so on, to kill people for massacre. In dollars. And the same thing. And I fear for Africans.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Nigeria should sit up that because the French troops
need to remove the wool
from the eyes.
Okay, again,
the French troops now are now moving from Mali towards the Lake Chad, two of the the what do you call it, River Benue and so on through Burkina Faso.
We have to end at this stage.
Yes,
the control room is reminding me our time is up.
The talk is too much. I think it is worrisome because it worries us.
Again, time is against us, so thank you for my guests.
As usual.
Thank you very much, Aminu and Professor. Thank you to the cameramen and the crew in the control room and the Liberty Global Reports production crew. This is me, Arthur Brooks, signing out for another week. Join me next week, next Wednesday, same time, same place. Have a great week, and keep watching Liberty Television. It's not just about the individual news item, it's all about what's behind the news story. What went on before, now and after. We report today not from Kaduna, Nigeria, but from Liverpool in the United Kingdom. Slavery Museum in Liverpool. Dr. Benjamin.
No personal attack on candidates.
Okay, thank you very much. Ray TV Liverpool. I'm here with Chris Kerr, who is one of the team that runs this remarkable little station.
My background is that I'd spent quite a lot of time working for Bernardo Television as a reporter and producer, and I had lived in Liverpool for most of my life, and I've had a very strong interest in doing something in the way of more local television, more than the regional service which Bernardo and the BBC offer.
This is Arthur Brooks signing off from Liberty Global Reports, and have a very good week. Thank you, Saidu, for coming on the programme.
My pleasure.
And please check out our Facebook page.